Hey guys, it's Lane here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be talking about my adventures with Superman, the new animated show about Superman, and it's one that I really loved. I don't know why I was not really in the know about this series. I saw that it was going to come to HBO Max and it was going to release weekly, and it's also available on Adult Swim, and actually the Adult Swim YouTube channel has the first episode free to watch on their YouTube channel, so check it out if you're interested in that. But technically the premiere was 2 episodes, and they're both available on Max a day after they come out on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. And so I watched it, and I loved it. It has a lot of anime vibes to it. The style is a style that I quite like. And it worked out really well for me. I really enjoyed it. So the guy that's kind of credited for making this story happen is this guy called Jake Wyatt. It's a Warner Brothers animation project. It's on Max, like I said. And the music is done by Dominic Lewis and Daniel Futcher, I guess is how they say the name, Fatcher. And they did a great job with the music. I really enjoyed it. The score was noticeable. Not necessarily memorable, I would say. I don't really remember anything specific, but I remember enjoying it. And I think that's good enough. It has kind of an orchestral lean to it. Some of it reminded me a little bit of Star Wars. And overall, this is a really good show. I really enjoyed it. I've seen a lot of people diss on this show on Twitter. And honestly, all of the hate that I've seen this show get feels forced. And it feels like they're just trying to nitpick. And their nitpicks aren't even really good. They're not really doing anything meaningful or saying anything meaningful that is negative about the show. I really just enjoy this a lot. So it follows Clark and Jimmy and Lois. And Clark and Jimmy are roommates. They seem to be college-ish aged because they are interns at the Daily Planet. And Lois has been at the Daily Planet for a little bit, whereas Jimmy and Clark have only just started working there, and the first episode is actually more or less their first story that they do behind Perry's back because he tells them not to do it. And Lois actually lies initially to Clark to get him to help her, which is weird because you would assume that he would have heard what they said, but it doesn't really matter. The point is that he doesn't really have clear control of his abilities because of a flashback scene we see later on in the episode where he realizes that he's not from Earth. He realizes he has powers. His parents take him to the crash site where he landed, and he gets scared and doesn't want to learn about it when he's a 10-year-old boy. So he never actually learns how to use his powers, but he knows the basic idea of, I'm super strong, I'm super fast, and I'm very durable, and I can fly. So he does that stuff, but he doesn't really focus on anything else. So the first episode is them chasing down this lead of this character that it turns out to be Livewire, even though I couldn't really tell based on the character design. It's very different from what you would usually think of Livewire. And she stole a bunch of technology, a lot of these very cool mecha robot things, and Lois wants to chase after it. She gets Jimmy to be in her camp, and Clark joins in because he basically doesn't want them to get hurt, essentially. They go through this adventure to find these things, and eventually Clark has to fight them, but he doesn't have a suit yet, so he just wears this kind of like safety gear to hide his face. So he fights them, he catches Lois. Lois is really interested, and so episode 2 is actually about finding more about Superman, and this actually triggers Clark to go and actually go to his crash site and try to learn more about himself. However, he only really learns his origin, where he comes from, and the fact that his parents sacrificed themselves to send him there, to send him to Earth, but he can't actively communicate with Jor-El's spirit, so he doesn't really get too much out of it, except a Superman suit, which is actually given to him in this very cute kind of magical girl / Sentai homage, where he closes his eyes, he's in this glowing thing, his body glows white, and then he gets all of his parts attached to him, and I really liked it. I thought it was great. That's why I watched the show, because I really like that concept there. And then he gets his thing, and his mom sees it, and she also looks like Inko Midoriya, like a lot. She's basically the same character, and I like that. And she's like, you know what? You're all blue. You need some red, so let me give you some shorts and a belt, and then you can go off and be a superhero. And it works really, really well. I like the reveal of the suit, and then he goes and does the Superman thing and saves the world, and he kind of announces himself to Metropolis, and it works really, really well. And that's the end of the second episode, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really great. I really enjoyed myself with it. I love the vibe. Lois is a freakishly excited person. She's also a tomboy. She's wonderful. I love her. Her voice acting is great. Her vibe is great. Her outfit's cute. Everything about her is wonderful. Clark is this kind of shy, introverted, big guy. He looks huge. He looks like he's a football player or something. But he's honestly kind of a little bit dorky. And him and Lois immediately have this like connection. And I like it. And I also really like the fact that she likes Clark, not just Superman. She likes both of them. She's attracted to both of them. Maybe separately, but also at the same time, because she'll probably eventually figure out that he is Superman. And I like Jimmy's relationship with Clark. It works really, really well. And I like the byplay between Jimmy and Lois because they're friends, but also they're kind of slightly competitive. And even though they kind of have the same track, as in they go in the same places, they go about those ideas very differently. And it's a very nice contrast that leaves Clark in the middle of them. And it works really, really nicely. I like that a lot. I really just enjoy everything about this. The vibes are wonderful. And it made me have a lot of fun. It is very cool to have a superhero thing that isn't immediately like everything sucks, but let's look at these cool guys do cool things kind of vibe to it. I really like this more light, kind of not necessarily hopeful because there is still kind of like dark elements to it, but this kind of like more easygoing vibe to it. I really enjoy it. Of course, there's still tension and darkness to it, of course, because there has to be, but broadly speaking, it just feels very wonderful and easygoing, and it reminds me a lot of early My Hero Academia elements. Honestly, the way that Superman kind of awakens his powers and also starts using them more seriously reminds me a lot of when Deku's eyes start glowing and he gets the teal lightning across himself and then he dashes. Like, it has the same vibe to it, and I love it. Lois also does this cute little like Korean heart thing for a picture they take, and it feels very much inspired by anime and Korean stuff, and I like that a lot. I think that is wonderful. That's a very cool place to take this, and it seems like Superman's going to slowly get his powers in this kind of like the same way that Deku does, where it's like, okay, right now I'm at this level of power, and so I have these abilities, and the more that I go, the more that I'll get, right? And this actually gets reflected in the show by Superman activating his blue lightning crest on his chest. Every once in a while, every time that he activates his powers seriously, or he gets a boost, his crest glows blue in his chest, and it works really nicely. I like it a lot. I think it is a reference to Superman Blue, and I think that's cool. That's a pretty interesting kind of thing. And hopefully we get a little bit more anime-style things, because I would really like to see the Superman Susanoo, like the Superman energy construct thing. That I think that's really, really cool. I would also like to see him kind of have other kind of anime-esque powers, because it's cool. And it also makes sense to kind of have that anime vibe to it in the modern kind of realm where anime and manga are so popular with so many people, right? So overall, this show is awesome. If you guys have not watched it, definitely go check it out. It's great. You can watch the first episode for free for sure on YouTube, and then you can decide whether that's worth getting other methods to watch it, like Max, or watching it on television later on yourself. So yeah, there you go. That's my review on my adventures with Superman. I don't really understand the title. I guess it's because technically Lois is one of the main like ways that we see the story. I'm not really sure, but the title is kind of not that important. Overall, the Superman cartoon is awesome, and I loved it, and I definitely recommend you guys watch it. So yeah, there you go. Let me know what you thought about the story, if you've seen it, and if not, let me know if you're interested. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.